What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down some press releases that DBs cannot guard in the exact situation that you should use these press releases. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Let's get started. Now, before we get into this video, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you would like 200 plus wide receiver route running, catching, press release, gym exercises that you guys can do, all organized into specific categories, laid out for you with the exact sets and reps to follow, check out that very first link in the description below where you can get access to all of those drills. Again, very first link in that description below if you want 200 plus wide receiver drills and exercises. Let's get back to this video. Alright guys, so the first release that we're going to be talking about today is something called a jab release. So this is a quick release that you want to do, and this is going to build into the other 4 releases that we're going to be discussing in this video, because what all great route runners are able to do is they're able to pair their releases together, right? If you're a wide receiver, like I'm sure all of you have watched like Davante Adams run routes before. When Davante Adams run routes, what is every single release that he does built off of? That little hesitation skip, right? He makes it all look the same because that's how he stays unpredictable to a DB. So all 4 of these releases are going to look similar. So this first one, like I said, is a single jab move. So this is a simple release that you want to use when you got a DB who is right up in your face, or he is right up in your face shaded to the inside. So like let's say he's shaded inside press, not giving me much room. A jab release is literally exactly how it sounds. You're going to take your front foot, you're going to jab inside, and then you're going to take this release and accelerate to the outside. Some people might call this a speed release. Some people call this a jab release, like how I call it. There are probably other names for it, but you're essentially taking the foot that is up closest to the quarterback, jabbing to the inside as quick as we can, then getting off the ball. Now, the mistake guys will make on this is they will lose speed because they'll line up, let's say they throw this jab move, and they'll try to get out of it too quick. Now, before that foot gets down, if your body leaves, you don't have any explosion and you don't have any drive off of this thing. So what you have to do, you got to make sure your hip is attached to your foot. You jab, we want to bring this with me, and then I want to push out and accelerate to the outside. So I'm going to show you how this release is going to look full speed, and then we'll get into the other releases that build off of this first step. Alright guys, so this next release that we're going to be talking about builds off of that jab release like we said, and it's called a crossover release. So pretty much you want to use this, I would say, when you have a DB who's lined up in head up press, maybe not giving us as much room, or he's lined up in outside shade press. So like we talked about, what do all great wide receivers do? They all pair their releases together, right? So they're able to make certain releases look the exact same as others, so DBs aren't predicting what they're doing, and they have to rely on their technique, which can get a separation if we know what to do. So if you're lined up here, this crossover release, it's the same exact first step. You are not stepping super far. You're keeping that cut inside your frame. You are still pushing off of this, and we're going to throw this jab with the outside foot. So like, let's say for example, you have to run like a post route, right? So you have to run a post, like 10 to 12 yard quick post, and let's say you come up to the line of scrimmage and a DB's lined up inside shade press. Obviously, when he's inside shade press, we're probably not going to get that inside release because he's taught, do not give up the inside. So what we'd have to do is we'd have to take the outside release, we work to stack, or maybe he's on my hip, I can throw by and slip under, right? And we talk a lot about that on this channel. But what if he's lined up in head up press right in front of me, not inside shade, he's in head up press. Ideally on a post route, a dig, an inside breaking route, I want to take the inside release. That's easier. I want to take the easiest path possible, and that's what this crossover works on. So he's head up press, I make it look the exact same as that speed release. It's a 1-2, I get him to jump outside of that frame. First step is quick, I push, and then we drive and take that inside release. So this is a great crossover move to use. You could use this against an outside shade press DB to attack his leverage, then take the inside release, but this crossover builds off that first jab release. I'm going to show you how this is going to look full speed. Alright guys, so this next release we're going to be talking about is something called a jab, slide, and go release. So this builds off of obviously the jab release, obviously the crossover release, and this is more of a hesitation release to get a DB's feet to stop, to get a separation back to the outside. Like I would probably use this, I recommend, on like a fade route, or maybe like some kind of route where you have to settle down and throttle down like a dig or a like stop route, okay? I wouldn't recommend this on a timing route like a 10-yard out because it's just going to take a little bit too long. But it all builds, right? Because we talk about with our receivers a lot. You don't want to have 20 to 25 different releases on your mind at a given time. You want to have 5 to 6 releases that you can use versus the different press coverage looks that you were going to see, and you should master those releases. But those releases have to look the same. So all these releases we're talking about right now are releases you can use. So remember, it is the exact same first step. So what you're doing is you're taking this jab to the inside, and after you take that jab to the inside, you're going to push off of it and give this little slide to the outside. Now, what we're trying to accomplish with this, and we want to use this when a DB DB is lined up inside shade press. So he's lined up inside shade of me. We're trying to make him think that we're running a slant. So we give him this jab to the inside, we're sliding to the outside on a 45. Make sure we do not go flat, because when we slide on a 45, it makes him make a decision. He's either got one of two decisions. He can either jump and play the fade, or he could sit and play the slant. And we're hoping that he's disciplined and plays the slant because we slid. DBs are taught when they see this slide to the outside to stay patient and sit and expect the slant. That's exactly what we want him to think. So all it is you're going to be doing that same jab with the front foot. We jab, we slide, and then we just take off and go. Now, if you're running a fade route on this, you have to make sure that you do not just run directly towards the sideline, because you've got to give your quarterback room to fade you out. So what's important on this is that when you slide to the outside, you dip this inside shoulder, we get skinny. So we're either hip to hip with that DB if he recovers well, or we're able to stack and give that quarterback room to throw me open on a fade. I love this release on a fade, but you have to make sure that you get skinny and work to stack. I'm gonna show you how this is gonna look full speed. All right, guys, so this next release is going to build off of that slide and go release, and this is a release that you would want to use on a slant. So you guys all probably saw this coming, but this is going to be that slide, crossover release, and slip underneath when we have to run a slant. Now, you got to understand that the timing of this release has got to be on the slower side of things. So what does that mean? Like, as a wide receiver, you don't want to just know on a given play that you're running a slant, right? You don't want to be that guy who's just like, okay, I have a slant, and it's the same thing every single time in terms of timing. There are a lot of different ways to run that slant, or maybe a 5-yard in, like a 5-yard under route. You could also use this release on that. But it has to do with the quarterback's timing, his footwork, and what type of play it is, right? So like if it's like an RPO concept where the quarterback's doing an RPO fake, setting his feet, and then throwing, that's a little bit longer developing of a play, right? If it's a play where he's just catching the snap, taking one step and throwing, that's a little bit quicker of a developing play. So what we have to do is time up my release with the footwork of the quarterback. So that's what this is going to be working on. So what you're going to do here, you're going to line up. It's the same type of jab to the inside. It's the same type of slide. You're going at the same angle, same everything, but instead of taking off and going, you're going to slide, hit a crossover, get that DB to think that we're going fade, and then slip back underneath and run a slant. So remember, again, it's the same exact first step. You jab, we slide, 1, 2, left, right, self fade, slip back underneath and run that slant. I'm going to show you how this is going to look full speed. Great release to use on a slant when the DB is lined up inside shade press in the right situation. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate. Leave those in the comment section below. We respond to every single comment, so we always appreciate the feedback from you guys. It really means a lot. And again, if you would like 200+ wide receiver drills, all categorized for you and broken down with the exact sets and reps to do, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to get you on that, fellas. I'll see you guys next time.